Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Midweek Matters. I'm James Graham, joined by Charlie White and Michael Chammas, because wow, it is all kicking off. But before we get into all that, Charlie, you're a little bit injured at the moment, my friend. You've been complaining about a bit of a shoulder injury to a person that his body who's knackered. So.
Yeah. Well, I've been loving the Ashes, so I sort of have been inspired to get back in the cricket net. So I went down to cricket nets to a few mates. We've started a comp on Sundays. We play last man standing, but I got in the nets, and just towards the end, I think I've torn ligaments in my shoulder. So my shoulder's completely gone. I was driving here left-handed on the way in. I mean, all sorts. My missus had to put my T-shirt on me today.
Oh, no.
I got dressed. Wow. I did. I couldn't move it in the position it needed to go, so she put my T-shirt on for me.
What else are you doing left-handed?
Nothing yet at this stage. Yeah, texting, writing. At this stage. It's a long week, boys. It's a long week. But my basketball team might not have 5 tonight, so I might try and tough it through for them to play basketball.
Well, you're going to play. You're making your missus put on your T-shirt.
But you're going to
play basketball.
I'll just try and be there as a body and not actually do anything crazy. Well. No shooting, nothing. Just just be out there for
your usual efforts.
Yeah.
Jamie, not much of a time off for you, is it?
No, look, I am enjoying a bit of a break, but just sort of got involved with this Tiger situation now, and if anything's going to bring you back to work, isn't it? It's the Tigers. So just a little bit of an involvement coming off the bench, but I've got a bit of time off now till the new year.
It's one of those that the Tigers situation where you go, when sports commentators go, oh, it's unbelievable, unbelievable try, unbelievable goal. It's like, believable from the Tigers. Yes, we know they're going to implode. We believe it. This is a believable play by the board. But before we get stuck into them, I just want to say big shout out to Kevin Sinfield. Recently completed 7 ultra marathons in 7 days, back to back. Over 300 kilometers, over £1.1 million raised, which is well over $2 million. That's this time around, I believe. Wow. Awesome. He's raised over £14 million throughout the 7 times he's done multiple challenges. I'm in training currently for an ultra style marathon called the Backyard Ultra, and what that man is putting his body through is absolutely incredible, all in the name of his late friend Rob Burrow, who unfortunately lost his battle with MND, but that is rugby league, that is mateship. That is absolutely incredible what he's doing. So big shout out to Kev Sinfield and everything he's done for Rob, his family, and the MND community.
Yeah. Bravo. Yeah. 7 ultra marathons. I'm here complaining about a slight shoulder after bowling 12 overs in the nets.
12 overs in the nets?
He's managed to pull off 7 ultras. Yeah. So there's different levels in life, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there is. I'm like I say, that the Backyard Ultra, unfortunately, I hate this, that it's a 6.7K loop, and the fact that number at the moment with
6-7.
Oh god!
Oh, I hate that joke so much.
It's just not a joke.
It's just so cringy.
I know. We bought the kids the Panthers shirt for his birthday, and it's got the big 6-7. It's the year it was established. So there's this walking around on the cruise ship. Everyone's going 6-7.
Oh,
the Panthers establishment.
I went to the TikTok Awards, which was good fun. It was good fun.
What?
But
you went to what?
I went to the TikTok Awards.
On behalf of who?
On behalf of the buy round.
Did you?
Yeah, on behalf of the buy round.
Me and Tony didn't get the... Tony's shaking his head.
You guys didn't show much interest in going. I think I did actually mention it to Tony.
Did you win?
No,
you didn't mention it to me.
But we didn't win an award. Byron wasn't nominated for an award.
Okay.
But there's always next year. There's always, because TikTok are friends of the show, the buy round. We're tight. Shout out Min Kamar. She's a lovely lady.
Can I get an invite next time?
Yeah, well,
start by installing the app first, and then you might get an invite.
Yeah, mate, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to come. Obviously, I'm inviting you now on behalf of TikTok. Right. But there was a lot of those 6-7 jokes, and it just was cringy as anything.
Is TikTok owned by China?
Well, it's not owned by China. It's a company. I think it started in China, but it's a global nation. It's a global company. Yeah.
A friend at a barbecue who's in construction was basically saying that...
I'm sure he knows the social media industry well.
No, he's basically saying we will be at war by 2030. So basically, just go bananas.
So he's a conspiracy theorist.
He said, there's a lot of contracts going out for construction in what's in the defence. So he's like, they're getting ready for
Well,
war.
that's why we've got a team in Papua New Guinea, mate. Rugby league. We're gonna.
Yeah.
That's a good chat.
The PNG Kumals will save
But all
our
I took
nation.
from that
They're called the
was
Chiefs.
The
mate.
Chiefs will
Yeah.
save our nation.
all I take from that is just absolutely go bananas for the next 3-4 years, because if we're at war, it's going to be over pretty quick.
Well, on that positive note,
Well, this
Talking
has been
of-
really good.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting over pretty
Yeah.
quickly, the West Tigers.
Talking of war, West Tigers, are they internal, a civil war, perhaps? Chammy, can you look? You follow this story, and it's hard not to get sidetracked. Like, I'm got the person in charge that's got long hair, like, and is following habits on social media. That distracts me. I'm like, oh, talk us through, because I can't remain focused. I do struggle. I know, like, you do get a bit. We've seen this movie before with the Tigers, but what exactly is going on? Because the question in my mind is, like, why now? They would have been delighted with the season that they had. It looked, for the first time in a long time, like, let's take Tigers fans out of the equation, because, you know, we all have we view things through our supporter tinted lenses. I think most people from outside Tigers headquarters would look and go, oh, they've actually got some stability right now. They look in a strong position to contend for finals. They are, you know, on the recruitment drive, they have the ability to attract players like Jerome, keep Appy, bring the May brothers in. They look, for once in well over a decade, in a strong position. I take that back. Not looking, they are, or they were. So what on earth is going on?
Well, I'll explain it to you from. We've got to go back to explain it to people listening. It started a couple of years. Well, it's been going for 15 years, but the latest instalment started a couple of years ago, when the Holman Barnes Group, which is the owner of the West Tigers, western suburb side of the merger, they decided to call for independent governance review. Right, that led to Lee Hadjipentelis and Justin Pascoe being removed from the club. Now, the people that pushed for that independent governance review were then 6 months later, 12 months later, pushed out of the club by the people who didn't agree with the governance review from inside the Holman Barnes Group. So you had two factions within this group who didn't. One wanted the review, which led to Justin and Lee going. One didn't. So when they eventually removed those people who enforced the review, they have been resisting, despite denials from Richardson and the club that I've been reporting this for 12 months. They've been trying to, bring back the Magpies, and they don't want Richardson, they don't want Barry. There's so many denials, but they've been pushing to backtrack on the changes that have been put in place. Reason being is because, as the majority owner, the 90% owner of the club, they don't feel as though they are being informed of major decisions. Now, this is all subjective of whether you think they are or not. I'm not in the room. The view from Holman Barnes is Richardson, Barry, the directors, they weren't doing the job that they wanted to do. They weren't being transparent enough.
The Barnes Group didn't think that.
The new independent directors and Richardson and all that in that group, Barry O'Farrell, weren't being transparent enough. Now, Richardson was brought in because he was going to have total autonomy. That's what he wants. That's the kind of guy he is. He runs a dictatorship. Works for some, doesn't work for others.
Well, he's proven. He's got a proven track record.
Yeah. He's been around. You don't fluke your way through 30 years in the game or whatever it's been. So,
quick question: just you said that they weren't across it, but didn't they have two members of the board anyway?
That's right.
Holman Barnes Group. So how can they not be across what's happening on the board when they've got two directors on that board?
well, I put that argument to them as well. You're represented by two people on the board. Now, the argument back is that they haven't. Not everything's been going back to the board.
Right. Okay.
Now, this is what Shane Richardson has. This is what he's like. You can't be surprised. But you point Shane Richardson, you got a guy who's going to go and do his own thing. Well,
So, can you give us an example or suggest something that they feel hasn't gone back to them?
Well, the example that was given, Daniel Payton was quoting to the Herald, that they found out about the agreement with Leichhardt Oval for an extended deal, for a long-term deal, at half-time when it was announced to the fans.
Wow.
That's what they claim.
Yeah. Wow.
I think they found it. There's a certain amount of money that you can spend on without board approval. I think some of that's been happening without board approval, allegedly. Now, it's a tough one because, you guys know that I've challenged Shane Richards on a number of things this year with the way he's conducted the Lockie Galvin situation. But none of this is about opinion in this situation. The facts are he wants to do things his way. Holman Barnes don't want him doing things his way. They want a more democratic situation at the club. Now, I don't know if, and it's led to today, as we record this, Shane Richards has held a press conference. He's walked away from the club. The details, I'm not too sure. Does he get a payout? How much? Is it on hold?
Yeah.
Well, there's an argument that there's going to be on hold any potential payout because he's entitled to roughly $1.5 million because he put a clause in his contract that if Barry O'Farrell was removed, that he gets 2 years' pay. Now, I don't know if that's the case. I also don't know what this integrity unit probe into Shane Richardson does as well, because my mail is Holman Barnes Group are reluctant to pay him out until they find out if there's anything behind this investigation. There's been a whistleblower complaint made to the NRL.
Which in regards to?
His conduct at the club, in regards to the finances at the club. Now, Holman Barnes, my understanding is they've issued a please explain.
So financial, so is this in reference to his management company?
Yeah. And also they want to do their own audit. I believe Holman Barnes Group will do their own audit on the club's finances. Now, I reported the whistleblower complaint that went into the NRL was made directly to the NRL because the Tigers disabled their own whistleblower hotline when Shane Richardson started. So there was no one to go and report it to. So they went to the NRL directly. Since then led to some questions being asked, interviews with staff and former staff. Spoken to Shane Richardson himself. He says he's got nothing to worry about. He's pretty comfortable with where it's all at. But what it's a large amount of money that's been going to Enriched Group, which is his and his son's group. Well, it's his son's business. I think he was a part owner. I don't know if he's removed himself from that or not. But this has been declared to the board. What the NRL are trying to determine is, okay, yes, you declared a potential conflict of interest, but the large amount of money that's been going into that bank account for a good part of 2 years, does the board know how much it's been? Because it's well over six figures. And was there a tender process? Are there other family members employed at the club? Because there's a suggestion that there are other people employed at the club who are related to Shane Richardson. What their work are they doing the amount of work required for that pay? So it is murky. I'm not suggesting any wrongdoing on Shane Richardson's account, but I am saying that the NRL are looking into it and asking questions, which has left the Holman Barnes Group in a situation where they're like, hang on a second, if we owe this guy all this money, we need to get to the bottom of whether or not we have grounds to, well, either terminate him or not pay him out.
You wrote about this, was it 6 months ago, a year ago, that the Holman Barnes Group wasn't happy.
Yeah.
At the time, you were accused of basically creating disharmony in the West Tigers.
Yeah.
Are these same concerns, have they just been growing deeper and deeper and deeper over the last 6 to 12 months?
Well, everyone, Tigers fans were into me saying that I just want to destabilise the club, ruin the club. I actually really like the Tigers. I want them to do well. I like the players at the club. I'd love to see the fans get what they deserve, which is some sort of success. But in the background, I had evidence. I was reading emails. I was seeing what was playing out in the background, and I reported what I did at the time, that there was a push for the West Magpies to return. And this is the way it's panned out. The Western Suburbs diehards on that board have orchestrated the return of Holman Barnes being in power at that club. Now, they now realise any potential move to bring the Magpies back is going to be met with plenty of resistance from the NRL. They won't get a licence if they want to strip Balmain from the joint venture. The NRL
is on record as saying that, isn't he?
Well, I think he's spoken to the club, and a big part of what the NRL want is the Balmain part of the merger. So they may not be able to bring the Magpies back, but it doesn't mean the people who are aligned to the Magpies aren't in charge. It was happening from the moment. I actually think the decision to do it, while the Tigers fans were rejoicing the removal of Justin Pascal and Lee Hadjimetellus for their own reasons, it's also led to even greater instability at the club by appointing people like Richardson, O'Farrell, who, unfortunately, when they were brought in, had the support of people who actually implemented the change. Once they were gone, the other guys never wanted them in there to begin with. It was always going to end this way. It was always going to end with Barry and Richardson being moved on because they weren't happy with them coming in the first place.
You could argue that Shane Richardson has done a lot of good for that club, though.
I haven't argued one way or another. I just
around recruitment, but
I think he has.
Yeah,
I think I would go on record and say, and I think it's not a coincidence that obviously there's a number of factors, but I think he has certainly helped.
You look at the funding they've got now for Leichhardt Oval, Campbelltown Stadium's got funding as well. You look at the club is moving in the right direction. They handled the Galvin situation in a way, maybe that wasn't the best handling of a situation. That was probably one of that's a bad example, but at least they got rid of Lockie Galvin, and the team seemed to improve after that.
For me, like take a deep dive for both sides, or just thinking about some events that I've been a part of in the past, and thinking about the Bulldogs and the lack of clarity to the board and the lack of communication. We did the top 10 stories, and the breakdown of the Bulldogs happened because there was a lack of communication, and things were happening from a football point of view that weren't being transferred back to the board, and that obviously destabilised things. But then I wonder if, should the board just look after the business? And if you bring someone like Shane Richardson in, he is ultimately the CEO of the football side of things. Like that's what he's there to do. Not too dissimilar to what is currently happening at the Dogs, where Aaron Warburton is the CEO, but he is the business CEO.
Yeah, but Richard had both. That's the thing. Richard was given complete control of the business and the football. Which
is that the mistake? It should a peace deal not have been negotiated to be like, hey, Richard, we're going to let you look after the football side of things, the business side of things, we're going to bring in person X.
Well, what I'm going to say is probably not going to be a popular opinion, but I think it's been overstated, Shane Richardson's influence over the football team's mini resurgence this year. I think that Benji has done a good job assembling that roster. I don't think anyone's signed because of Shane Richardson. In fact, if you look at the players who have come and gone, if you take away the performances, you think, okay, well, Terrell May was on the market, right? The Roosters let him go. There was only one other club at the time, but it was Benji. He's quoted Terrell May saying it was Benji. There's the reason he came after meeting with him. They've signed Royce Hunt. Jack Bird probably hasn't worked out for him in that way. They've lost Stefano. They've lost Luai. They've lost Talon. They're probably going to lose Buller. People are going to say it's personal for me. It's not personal with Shane Richardson. I don't care about getting personal. I reported what I do. I reported what I did because I believe that to be the situation with Lachlan Galvin, and he took offence to things that I reported.
But do you not think that Richard helps shape the environment? He's very open with media, helps that side of things.
I don't think Shane Richardson and Benji talk very much, though, do they?
I think they're fine.
They don't have a great relationship, though, do they?
I wouldn't say that. No, I think Benji wants him to stay, and I think he's a supporter of his. What I will say is Richo has run a very good PR campaign to...
for the Tigers or for him?
For himself. Yeah, I do. I think, and in a way, whoever was going to come in after Justin and Lee, and with all respect to those two guys, they were hated by Tigers fans. Rightly or wrongly, they got to a point where the Tigers fans did not want them at their club. So whoever was going to come in after them was going to be hailed as the saviour. And Richard's done a good job of playing that card as the saviour. And that's where I felt like there was a lot of hypocrisy with Shane Richardson, and I called it out because when he started, he slammed the old regime. And it's not about me. I'm close to Justin and Lee. It's not about that. I'm close to other people who have left sporting organisations like the Bulldogs with Ray Dibb. I'm still close to the Bulldogs now. This is not about I'm team Justin and Lee. It's the way Shane Richardson has handled it. Bagging the club. First thing he does is bag the clauses that are in the contract to keep Stefano, right? He says, we won't be doing that. Loses Stefano, then secretly announces Jerome Luai to a 5-year deal, but then leaves out the fact that he's actually inserted these secret clauses in until we reported it in the Herald that he had options in year 3, 4 and 5 that he could leave. He was misleading his own fans. He's trumpeting this 5-year deal. I find that hypocritical when you're bagging the old regime for clauses that were in the contract for Stefano. I find it hypocritical when Onatoni Large, one of your best young players, comes to you and the manager asks for a clause in your contract. He wants a Lockie Galvin clause. If Lockie Galvin re-signs, we have the freedom to look around, which is fair to ask for because Lockie Galvin's a great player and your path is blocked if Lockie Galvin stays. Shane Richardson then says, we're not going to do that sort of stuff. We're not going to be that club anymore. We're not going to hold the club to ransom with these clauses. Onatoni Large goes to Manly. But in the meantime now we're finding out that he's held the club to ransom with all sorts of clauses in his own contract. Good luck. Protect yourself. I'd have no issue with it. but don't talk a big game and hammer other people, hammer agents, hammer players for doing what you have just done. To me, that is why I look at it and think, well, that is hypocritical. He has convinced fans that he's the saviour, and he talks a very good game, Richo, but I feel like a lot of the things that has happened have been hypocritical. The way he conducted Galvin. He talks about a crocodile, being in the crocodile role. Well, the moment he's got all sorts of clauses in his contract that he can leave when it doesn't go his way. And he's going to do that. He's going to orchestrate his exit from the club because it hasn't gone the way he wanted to.
But is he being pushed out?
Well, he's being pushed out because he's made the club feel as though everything's on his terms. He wants complete control. I decide this, I decide that. No one else has to know. I don't have to tell you this. That's what Shane Richardson wants, which is all well and good. Push for it. But this is why he's frustrated people. He goes overseas. He talks about building a culture where players are happy. Then he goes overseas, mid-season, on a trip with his son to England and shops players around without their knowledge to Super League. And you want to create harmony in your team. He's there with his son. I don't know what he was doing. That's another question the club's asking at the moment. These kind of trips that he was going on. Going to England over there and shopping players around. Treatment of Bateman and Clemmer. There's a feeling there, if we bring up, we haven't even spoken about Talon. There's a feeling there that he talks a good game, but what he sells isn't what he's doing behind closed doors. And that is my issue, is I haven't been afraid to call him out, and we've gone head to head with that. And I think he's pushed a narrative with his friends in the media around Buller, and they were close to doing Luai remove the clauses. I think that's him again pushing his own narrative to sell that I was going to get it done, I was going to be the saviour. Mate, Buller's looking out his options elsewhere. He's met with other people. You look at the situation with Luai. Luai's in no rush to remove the clauses. I can guarantee you that. And that's my issue.
Well, this feeds in to why Luai would have that clause in his contract. Like this for me is a classic example of, self-destruction. Well, you could argue self-destruction, and like you know, as a player that this isn't ideal. Usually when there's infighting at board level, it usually unfortunately trickles down to the playing roster, and you could argue whether that should or shouldn't happen, but it's been, there's a number of incidences and examples that you could point to say, that's where it was. And for somebody like Jerome, look, I don't like those clauses. I never do, but you understand why someone of his caliber, of his excellence, goes, I want that in. And that's the only reason, or the only way you'll get me over the line.
Okay. That's okay, Jimmy. I've got no issue if they announced a 2-year deal with a 3-year extension. But announce it. Be honest. Be transparent about what you just did. Let's be real. You got him over the line because you gave him the options. Call it for what it is. Don't come out and say we managed to get him out of the Bulldogs because I'm the great negotiator. That's my issue with it.
With the Richo thing, like he'd be irresponsible as an executive coming into a club with as many issues as the West Tigers to not have clauses himself in his contract. So he's got to have that backup there, because something like this has happened where, for some reason the Holman Barnes group has decided they have to act now while the club is in an upward trajectory. That's probably the biggest issue that fans have. But also with Richardson, you can't say he had no impact on recruitment and then be like, why the clause in there? Buller's going to leave now, but there's all this, that, and the other. Because then if Buller's going to leave now with all this drama going on, it would say that Richo has helped it.
Well, I don't think Buller's going to leave because Richo's going. I don't think it plays a factor one way or another. But Richo wasn't going to keep. He wasn't going to be the reason he stayed. If he does stay, I think I look at the Galvin thing, right? I got no issue with Richo. I would do the same thing. I'd protect myself as a person, as an employee of the West Tigers. I would protect myself, no issues. But then don't hang other people out to dry. Don't hang Lockie Galvin out to dry, because he just did the same thing, protecting himself. He wasn't happy. Just like you're not happy with your employee, Richo. You're not happy with the Holman Barnes group. Lockie Galvin wasn't happy. Don't create an environment where the kid then goes, and it's a lot of it his fault. I'm not excusing Lockie Galvin of some of the blame here. But then he created an environment where the players then started to turn on him. I said that he enabled the situation with the way he handled himself. And I will say, there's people at that club, and I feel sorry for them, the culture at that actual admin office, there are people there who are so unhappy to be working there. I speak to a lot of people at the club. The environment there, they are so happy today that Richardson's leaving.
Right, yeah, well.
In terms of the situation that Shane Richardson walked into, was total control needed.
Probably, yeah.
Like you know, when
probably.
you look and go, oh, that's not ideal on like you look at a club like Melbourne and the alignment there, or Penrith, two of the successful powerhouses. The Broncos, they're a bit of new kids on the block to an extent with Maguire and Donaghy, but there isn't a level of alignment there usually. And I get point back to that Melbourne, Frank Panisi, Coach Bellamy, all on the same page. But they've been well established for decades now. Where the Tigers, it was maybe you look at that situation, and if you have Shane Richardson coming in, you go, look, this has been a mess. I know how to fix it. I don't want to be questioned. I don't need to be questioned. You either trust me or you don't.
Yeah, but I agree. I think a dictatorship was required. I agree. But what happened is I think he pushed the friendship. His first port of call when he arrives is to bring his... Like, why invite that trouble into your business? Is to bring your family-run business, your own business, your son's business as a consultant. First thing you do.
Because you trust them.
But it's a bad look. And then you go, the first player you sign is Solomona Fatape, a client of your son's. Like, I'm not saying that these things... I'm not saying they didn't need to go out there and hire someone or a consultancy firm to help them with that thing, or go and find a centre from the Q Cup. But you're inviting trouble. You're inviting trouble. Then you sign... I had parents of players ringing me. I had parents of West Tigers players ringing me and saying, it's a disgrace what Richardson's doing to these kids. We're getting moved on because he's bringing in his own kids, players from his son's agency. Whether or not he's done anything wrong, it's a bad look. It's bad for optics. Then it creates it then flows on to the younger players. Under his watch, you had players in top 30 spots playing third and fourth division, Ron Massey and Sydney Shield. How does that happen? Top 30 players, Matamua and who's the other one? Brandon Tumouth going to play third and fourth division. Like, yes, the top guys were happy, like your Luais and your Appies. They love Benji. But I'm telling you now, there is a disconnect with the back half of that roster, especially with the way Lockie Galvin was treated. Bullers hasn't forgotten that. Talon De Silva didn't forget that. And you can argue whatever you want about why they got rid of Talon because they prioritised Appy. But there were guys, Talon De Silva was at Lidcombe Oval that day when Lockie Galvin played. He went and watched his mate. To me, that was a stand. He took a stance that day and said, I don't like what's happening. I'm going to support my guy. And I'm telling you now, Buller feels the same way about Lockie, how he was treated.
The fans would disagree with you.
Yeah, they would, 100%.
So the Holman Barnes group, you hear a lot of the West Tigers fans, they're marching this Saturday in Ashfield against it, organised by the Inner West Mayor, Darcy Byrne. But the fans are sick of the Holman Barnes group, and this is an optics thing. Dennis Burgess as the front and centre of that company is a concern, probably just from an optics of he's like an old rock and roller. Is he going to be the sharpest business mind in the world, the sharpest sports mind in the world? Probably not.
No.
So are they doing this to? Is it an ego thing? They want the power. They want to be able to run the club again. Yes, they didn't know about certain things, but some of the things sound petty, like a jersey. Like that jersey looked great. Who cares if it's got not enough black, not enough? Who gives a toss?
Yeah. Well, don't confuse my thoughts around Shane Richardson for me saying that Holman Barnes are in the right. That's not what I'm saying at all. Like in this situation, I agree with the end result that I think that Shane Richardson at the club maybe long term wasn't the right person, but the Holman Barnes group, the way they have conducted business over the last few years has been disgraceful. Like if the NRL took control of that organisation, it'd be a great result.
Can they do that?
No, they can't. They've looked at loopholes. They can't get in, right? You can't just
So
take
the NRL have looked at how they could take over the Tigers?
Well, look, they've looked at ways to try and get involved. Yeah, they're concerned. Mate, this is a powerhouse of the NRL. They should be the biggest brand in the game. Well, they nearly are, and they haven't had success in 15 years. Like, if the person who leads them, and I remember having this conversation with Cameron Ciraldo when he was considering going to the Tigers, I said, mate, if you are the one that takes this team to finals football, they'll be building statues of you outside Leichhardt Oval.
Yeah.
Like, this is the biggest job in rugby league. If you can do it, it is the most satisfaction. And look, what he's done at the Bulldogs has been superb, and the reaction to that, the fan and public reaction, has been huge. But you do that at the Tigers, and you turn the basket case into contenders, mate, you'll be remembered for years and years. Your legacy is there. And I think that the Holman Barnes group, they're not going to let go. And the Tigers fans have every right to be upset with the way they've conducted themselves because at the end of the day, the infighting is led by self-interest. And that, to me, is dangerous because there are guys in there who are in positions who they should not be in those positions, making decisions that they shouldn't be making. And they want control again.
So the Tigers fans want the Holman Barnes group out.
Yes.
And then who takes over?
Anyone. They're just happy to sell it to somebody.
Arthur Lawney's
NRL
thrown his hat in the ring.
administrator.
Arthur Lawney's thrown his hat in the ring.
Thrown his hat in the ring.
Bulldogs sponsor. In terms of Richo, is your main problem with him that he was also managing himself in self-interest? Is that your main problem with Richo?
That was what I felt. It was this illusion of what he was selling to the fans. I felt like and especially knowing what I knew inside the club with people talking to me about how he removed people from that club who he alleged was talking to me, sacked them.
Really?
And I'd never spoken in my life.
Wow. Yeah, wow.
And I felt sorry for those people. And that, to me, I don't care. Like, is he a good administrator? Yeah, of course. Like, he's got a track record there. I just felt like the way he was conducting business wasn't reflective of what the fans thought. The fans thought he was the saviour. And they think that things are going to go from bad to worse when he leaves.
Is this...
I don't think that's the case. I think that club has put in place in Benji, and with the players there, they can go on and have success. This doesn't mean it has to be the end. Yes, Holman Barnes is a concern, but I actually think that Benji, he's the worry. Benji's the worry. I wouldn't be surprised if Benji's thinking, mate, what am I doing here? Like, this place is a rabble. Mate, they need to secure Benji. Because I know he's got a couple of years left on his deal, but if Benji walks, then you're going to have a problem with the roster. Then you've got Jerome walking out. Then you've got Appy. Now, I've been critical during the year about writing that he's too close to some people. But the key players at that club, the Mays, Appy, Luai, they're Team Benji. I can guarantee you that. Maybe some other players feel as though maybe he's too close to those guys, but he can work on that as a coach. There are shortcomings in his coaching that he has to work on. I wrote about it during the year, caused drama about how he wants to be one of the boys, still thinks he's one of the players, he's putting on plays in games, putting on in training, putting hits on, led to a little bit of an issue with Adam Dewey. They're the things he'll learn over time. But if he walks, and which is, I believe...
He won't walk, would he?
Well, not right now, but if this continues...
He can't as a club legend.
No.
Well, you can't. You've got to
make sure... The Tigers have got to make sure that they make him feel like he's comfortable in where they're going. Because if he's not...
Is the march likely to achieve anything?
No. Because they can't force him to do anything.
So
I know
there's no force... Okay, sorry, go ahead, Jamie.
No, there's some people who feel that there's a legal avenue that the club perhaps is... The way they've operated opens some doors for legal course of action, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen anytime soon. And the NRL, if they could, they would get their hands on them. They've sought reassurances from the club that they're not trying to remove Balmain. They've been given those assurances. Now we're moving to a point where who takes over Shane Richardson?
Who do we likely think that is? Tony Mestroff name
I did
is
think
being
that.
public?
I did think, I wrote that Tony Mestroff's been spoken to about coming into the club, at least as an interim. There's also talk about Sean Millercamp.
Central Coast Mariners.
Central Coast Mariners. He's at the Tigers at the moment. I think they've appointed him as GM, taking over
I
from
thought he
Matt
was a
Betsy.
Richo man.
He is a Richo man, yeah.
Okay, but they're happy with the Richo man taking over.
Well, that's why I said there's some people at the club who think... He's been working with a lot of the foundation members. He's got good relationships there.
He's pretty highly regarded, isn't he, across sport in Australia?
Well, I think he's done it... Well, from what I hear, and I don't follow the A-League closely, I watch the Wanderers. I'm a Wanderers fan, but everyone around the Mariners said he did a great job at the Central Coast Mariners. Now, do I follow it enough to know that whether he's a guru or not? No, but...
He's very well respected. He was very well respected.
Yeah. So he's another one that they're looking at. I just... Yeah. I feel sorry for the Tigers fans. I don't know how much it's going to affect. I think that they've become so immune to this, Tigers players and Benji. I actually don't think deep down it's going to have a difference to how they perform.
They're pre-season now, going just business as usual.
Yeah, they wouldn't even know half the guys that are involved in this civil war that you've spoken about. They don't even know that some of these Holman Barnes directors. At the end of the day, Benji Marshall's there.
That said though, but I reckon. You're probably discounting the fact that they'll be getting asked about this in their personal life, in their home life, when they're out and about in the community.
Yeah,
like it's a huge topic. The comments on Instagram and all the socials from fans will be, make sure you stay dry, or we love you. Like it's a factor, and it does drain your resources.
You were part of a merger club. You probably know what it's like when there's dramas at the Dragons. You've been through that.
Yeah.
Did it affect you as players?
Or
you're very aware
probably
of
went through
players?
it more at the Bulldogs with boardroom drama.
Boardroom drama was probably more at the Dogs, speculation around people's futures. You just couldn't ignore it. You couldn't switch off from it. You literally could not switch off from it. And again, when you think about who's taking over, who's coming in, the ramifications, the clauses that are there, this is it's not gonna end this week. It's, we've got the festive period coming up, but you're naive to think that this is gonna stop.
What if we did separate the merger, but we can't have obviously another team in Sydney? Could the 20th team become the Tigers? And you let the Wests go back to being the Magpies. You have the West Magpies, and the 20th team is the Tigers. And maybe it's in New Zealand as the second Kiwi team.
With Benji as coach.
With Benji as coach. Now, that would be a story.
I think that ship has sailed. I think there was a bit of murmurs years ago about whether or not they should be the Perth team. West Tigers, you just literally move them over to the West.
Yeah.
But no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You can't. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
What? Obviously, I've said I don't think the story ends here. There's plenty of water to go under the bridge before. Like, will it ever end? I don't know. But what's likely to be next? They appoint a CEO. They bring in new board members. They address the players that.
But who are these new board members and what are they going to do? I don't really get it. Like, it's like, oh, new board members. It's like every couple of years we're going to go through a fresh board member. Like, as a Tigers fan, like, why does it matter who's on the board? It's simple as, they didn't know about the funding, so they didn't know about a good thing. They're arguing about not knowing about a good thing. Like, it's kind of just seems a bit frustrating, and it's just all petty BS, really.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you around the Holman Barnes. Who are the board members? I don't know. They probably appoint Holman Barnes representatives, no more independence. Back to the way it was, maybe some independence, but not the majority.
So then this leans more into like the Western Magpies.
They'll have all control.
But they have all control anyway, mate. They've had it for a long time, Charlie. They're the 90% majority owners of the club. They've bailed out Balmain with some financial assistance. They still provide financial assistance to Balmain. Balmain are 10% owners, and I think that's just a token gesture. Like, they didn't actually. It's not a financial. I don't think they paid anything for it or much for it. So, I think.
It's funny that though, because I wonder how many of the West Tigers like financial supporters are from Balmain, or from that area.
Yeah,
you'd have to go and look at it, but their fan base is very much entrenched in that area. So yes, they're financially Western Tigers Magpies in a much better position. However, the heartbeat of the West Tigers, for me, it's when they're playing at Leichhardt Oval and they got the hill rocking. That's the heartbeat of the Tigers.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense for the future. Right now, I get it, but that Balmain crew, they're getting older. The Westies are the future of that club, and they all know that. Everyone that goes in there knows they should be going west, but no one's been able to do it. No one, like that growing area out near Campbelltown, Camden, Narellan, that is a booming area.
Yeah.
That is where the kids are. That's where your talent is. The problem is the centre of excellence is in Concord, which Justin Pascoe did the deal because that's where the money was. That's where it was coming. You had to take it on board. The council helped out so much to get that centre of excellence across the line. So sometimes they all know they need to base themselves or be the team of Western Sydney. But it's harder to do when players want to live in the inner west. They're all based there. It's dragging them all out to Campbelltown is not going to be easy. And everyone that comes in says the big talk around making the West their own, but it just doesn't happen.
Do you think, like, looking ahead, the future of the two players in the spine that both have the ability to leave, do you think they stay?
I think Jerome stays. I don't think Buller stays. I think Jerome just gives himself the option. Jerome, his manager, has rightly given himself the option for this situation to make sure that every year you can make the decision. Every year you can, if it's absolute basket case and something's affected it. Like right now, Benji's still coach. But 12 months' time, when he gets the chance to look at this option again, Benji might not be the coach. Who knows what happens? There might be a fallout between Benji and Holman Barnes. Who knows? He's got the protection there. My mail is Buller is keen to look at other options, is looking at other options.
Benji probably wouldn't walk into another head coaching gig straight away, though. So if you're Benji and you're thinking about your coaching future, the Tigers is his most obvious path at the
Yeah,
moment.
of course. But he was also in a really good job at Fox Sports with a lot less stress in his life. He's a very big family man. We all know that how much time he spends with his kids.
Do you reckon he'd be welcomed back with open arms at Fox, given they invested in a TV show for him? I don't know if they'd roll the red carpet out for Benji when
I would. The guy's incredible media talent.
Well, we were both him at Triple M. He's a fantastic talent.
Yeah.
But if you build a show around someone and commit to them and then they go in another direction, you probably, there's new people coming up constantly. Like Sean Johnson, they've got in there now. He's but one of the best new talents in rugby league. They found him this year.
Yeah.
Fox find people every year.
Yeah.
NRL media finds people every year.
We'll take him at 9 then.
Benji's got a place, alongside.
I think he would walk back into that role in the media, but it's just like, why did he leave it in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
he wants to be a coach.
I mean?
Yeah, he wants to be a coach.
To be a coach. He obviously has his reasons for that, where he had a taste of the media for maybe 2 years, 3 years.
He did a lot of it during the end of his career. He was doing stuff at Fox and Triple M. He did a year at Triple M and then wrapped up.
Decided that maybe it wasn't for him.
But
So
if anyone walks, if I'm not saying he's going to walk now, but I'm saying if there is a coach who would walk, I think Benji's a coach who would walk.
Yeah.
I think if it gets too much for his family, the club becomes a rabble. I could see him walking away from a tough situation and think, you know what, I've given my all to this club. It's about time I put myself first.
That would be a huge call.
But we're not there. I'm stressing. I'm just saying he's the kind of guy who'd just be like, nah, I'm out.
The other part with Benji getting back into media that might hurt him is he doesn't reply to anyone's messages in the media as well. That's a reality. Maybe he replies to Chammy's messages, but he doesn't really reply to a lot of guys' messages, journos, media people. He doesn't help the media out at all. So he doesn't have those amazing relationships. I'm sure because he's a talent, he'd walk straight back in. But I mean, anyway, that's sort of irrelevant now anyway.
Benji's the kind of guy, this is why he would want Shane Richardson there. Like he's got his circle and he doesn't want to go outside. Like if you earn Benji's trust, you're in the circle. But everyone outside of that is not. Yeah, it takes time. It's why this is going to be difficult for Benji, because bringing someone in, it's Benji's turf. This is his patch of grass and you can't come in and just take over. And it's going to be difficult now for whoever comes in there to build that trust with Benji. It's why he's signed the Chris Hyingtons to the world, the John Morrises of the world, all Brett Hodgsons, all these guys he's played with, come back and work with him. It's because Robbie Farah was there. It's because that's what he keeps to his circle. And if you're not inside that circle, it's very hard for him to let you in. And he's like that with the media. It's like, okay, you're either with me or you're against me. And at the moment, I'm not speaking to Benji. I think because he somehow feels as though I was speaking to Isaac Moses or something during the Lockie Gal. Who knows what it is? But he gets something in his head, Benji. And it's like, if you're against him, then he doesn't need you.
Yeah.
And that's just how he is.
Ruthless. So we basically, those two candidates you mentioned before, Sean Mellencamp and Tony Mestroff, are the two front runners for CEO. Chairman, do we know who would be the chairman of the club? Is Dennis Burgess going to work his way up from chairman of HBG and get in at the West Tigers as well?
Yeah.
We'll bring his guitar in as well, sing some songs for
he's
the
a
board.
Who knows? The first thing they have to work out is whether Richo gets a payout or not. I haven't been able to get confirmation that he's being given a full payout.
Maybe not full, but you'd imagine there'd be some sort of a payout just so then they can muzzle him, keep him quiet, and move on with their lives and not create any more drama going on.
You want the transition to be just as smooth as imaginable or as possible.
And they are loaded, the Magpies, aren't they?
Yeah, but still, mate, the thing is, it's still $1.5 million. Like, it's a lot of money to just throw at someone, especially after you've paid out Sheensy, you've paid out Madge. Like, they've been dipping into the pockets to pay out people for a while.
You know what's funny? I was reading the comments of one of the podcasts we did recently, talking about the Tigers. They've had the last two premiership winning coaches, Michael Maguire and Ivan Cleary. And they're sitting where they are.
I feel sorry for Ivan Cleary. We said this on this podcast before. That was a sliding doors moment that changed the course of history for that club. Who knows where they'd be right now? The other name I did hear, I don't know, is Brian Fletcher.
Oh, cool, from the Penrith.
Really?
Penrith Panthers. He's just finished up at the club. He was sort of going to go into semi-retirement, but I heard that his name being mentioned as someone that could go in there as an interim CEO.
You're from
experienced
Panthers
campaigner
to Tigers.
Well, him and Dave O'Neill, the guys that ruined the club, maybe they can come back and fix the club. They took Ivan Cleary away from them.
Maybe they Fletch from Fletch instead of the other Brian Fletcher.
He's involved. Yeah,
he'd be a good one.
I reckon he'd suit that.
Maybe
very
great.
chill, just
relaxed atmosphere. Bring in some. I reckon he'd have good connection with sponsors as well. He'd be able to bring some sponsors in. The club would be humming commercially.
I love it.
But anyway, we'll move on from that. because there is some play movement stuff. First of all, Tino linked to the Chookies. That
Yes.
is big.
Yeah, I think when you hear Tino and the Roosters, alarm bells go off around how could they afford him? Is it a position they even need strengthening in when you think they have Lenu, Nafahu White, Lindsay Collins, to name but a few in the front row there. I guess they do have Mark Nwangani Tuase moving on, maybe Angus Crichton yet to resign. But for me, it's not an area of concern for the Roosters. But you can imagine the NRL fan would be just looking at this story and going, how and why? But to be fair to Tino, there is a family connection there. And I guess he probably needs to think about what this next move is going to be all about. Is it going to be about finance, or is it going to be about trying to win things? I still think Melbourne, if he's going to win things, or maybe now the Roosters, but he's obviously got big money already at Titans that he wants to see them change.
Ratchet clauses in that as well.
Ratchet clauses galore. Or does he go Perth for a new challenge? The Dragons are in heavy for him. I mean,
if you're him though, like he's done everything at a rep level. He's done nothing at the Titans. He's obviously won a premiership when he was at the Storm. What would you do if you were him? If you're weighing up, surely the money, it's not money or another poor club. It's money and the Titans or an elite club.
Yeah, you're either, for me, I think you either stay or go to Melbourne or Roosters.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Roosters have been looking at this for a little while. There's been murmurs around what they do with their team. They obviously invested heavily in Nafahu White. Spencer maybe has another.
I think he has 2 years to go.
But the talk around Spencer is concern of whether or not he's a starting player. But they are paying his starting money. So, I think the Roosters have been sniffing around this for a little while. I'd like to see him have some success at the Titans. I'd like to see him stay there and be that guy. But you got to give Josh Hannay a little bit of time. But he's been down this path. How many more coaches does he have to give time to?
He's got a long time to make this call as well. Not that other clubs have that level of salary cap up their sleeve. Like if the Roosters don't sign Angus Crichton or some new recruits, I think all roads would lead to Bondi without us.
You could also do a 1 year extension. Like do something like what Herbie did. Herbie didn't make a commitment long term to any club. Just signed a 1 year extension at the Dolphins, see how the club goes, then work out what he wants to do with his life. Like there's nothing stopping Tino from doing that. And then if it doesn't work under Hannay, then look at an exit.
The other one is Keaon Koloamatangi. Now the Dragons have rolled out a chopper.
Oh, yes.
And if I'm Keaon Koloamatangi, I'm thinking, who gives a toss
Can you fill me in on this? I've been on holidays. What happened?
So they're wooing him. The Dragons are wooing him, and as part of that included a chopper ride.
Right.
Yeah, flying him down from Sydney to Wollongong.
Yeah, all that big 45 to an hour drive. Ooh.
It's pretty cool. Why
I'll
did
do
they
it
do
in
that?
15 minutes. Why?
Yeah.
To try and woo him. Look, we're a powerful club. We've got money, status.
I like it.
Do you reckon that's what it is? Or do you reckon it's just, let's get you down?
That's quick.
10 minutes.
Well, then go to him then. If you're worried, go to him. Drive to him.
Apparently they didn't want to pay the tolls, so they just...
He'd be a good buy for them, though, in all
He'd be a good buy for
seriousness.
anyone. I didn't realise he's only 26.
Yeah, baby.
He just feels like he's been around for so long.
I heard the Dragons are willing to pay him close to $5 million for 5 years. That's their offer.
Fair. That's a fair price for him, isn't it?
And Perth would be probably same, if not more.
I think, look, bias, I'm a Dragon. I think he'd be great. We went, if you go through their roster, they're definitely lacking a middle, but you also don't want to break the bank because I actually really believe there's some good kids coming through. You see some of the kids they unearthed this year.
Yeah, they're
Stewart
forward, yeah.
Dylan Egan's going to be a star.
Yeah.
The Couchman boys.
Couchman
Hamish
boys,
Stewart.
Alan Gahu. They're going to need some money at some point
to keep
these kids. So I don't think it's, to be honest, I don't think it's massive overs. Like it's probably a little bit over, but you're going to have to pay overs to get someone. The Dragons have been in the doldrums for a while now. So, but if they've gone and offered him $6 million over 5 years, I'd be saying, well, hang on a second, that's a bit much.
It's funny that sometimes the solution to your problem can end up being the problem later down the track. So, be a huge signing for a club like the Dragons, but like you say, they could go big for Keaon and then end up losing 1-2 of these other players.
Yeah, I like where Tim Watford's head at, the new CEO. I think he's doing some good things there, and they brought Benny Cray in as COO. I'm optimistic about the Dragons. The roster at the moment needs some work, but if these kids come through the way we hope, there's some bright years ahead.
They haven't, until recently, they haven't had a recruitment officer, have they? That was only a recent appointment, like a proper head of recruitment. They've been one of the last clubs to sort out their like recruitment staff, haven't they?
They had people, but it hasn't been in, like Daniel comes in and provides them that figurehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel Anderson, who's previously held that role at the Roosters, is now, that's his 100% role. It's not as, I guess, wishy-washy as it maybe once was.
Because they had Shane Millard down there.
Yeah, Ian Millwood was pathway/recruitment.
Yeah, there's been guys in there, but no one to grab the role by the scruff of the neck and say, this is the way we're doing things.
Yeah.
Because Fano's been able to do everything, and it's through necessity sometimes, but he's used to it. But the game's too big, though. The game's too big now for that. You can't be coach, CEO, GM all in one anymore. You need help. And probably Fano's realised that he just needs to focus on coaching the footy team. And it does impact your relationships with players when you have to get into the nitty-gritty. You have to go and negotiate with someone to bring to your club, then you piss off the bloke who's there. You know, it makes things difficult, especially when other clubs have got clear separation for those roles.
Brian Kelly, Parramatta are chasing him as well. They're trying to get him as their Zach Loma immediate. So he's obviously contracted for next year, but that's his last year at the Titans. The Titans probably, he's been a great player for them over the last few years, but they probably don't need him. He's more of a luxury than a necessity for the Titans.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I reckon they'd be not happy, but they'd go with Blessing.
Yeah.
Go with Blessing.
I wish it happened earlier for the Eels. Like they would have probably signed someone like a Khan Pereira or something like that. It would have been a good pickup for him going to the Warriors. But yeah, I think Brian Kelly would be a good pickup.
Is there any news on what Lomax's next move is going to be?
Nah, visited the Western Force facilities.
Yeah,
and it's been quiet since then.
I haven't been following it closely. Sorry, Jim.
Nelson into boxing.
Yeah.
Ryan Papenhuyzen's an interesting one.
Gap year.
The year out.
We all want it. Everyone listening here wants a gap year. Go to Europe. Get tan June, July.
What's Reedy going to do now with no R360?
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's an interesting one.
What are we going to do? We did a whole podcast on it.
Got it out just in time, didn't we?
We did.
We'll look back in years. Go, what was that R360?
Yeah, egg on our face.
We were on it like years before. Interesting one for Papenhuyzen. I fully respect his decision. Like each to their own. But I've seen some quotes around like, life's short, and you're going to be 80. I'm like, mate, you're an amazing footballer. Like, you're so talented. And I get that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it, and just because others want to do it. But I'm confused, but I'm also pleased for him that he's got that inner peace to walk away from the game that, like, I'd do almost anything to travel back in time, to be out there. And
he's been through a lot though, Jimmy, hasn't he? Like the injuries, and he obviously had a concussion late in the year as well, and those horrific leg injury he had as well.
But exactly. So he knows what life is like without the game, and like I don't know if there's a better life than being a professional athlete. And respect to him for making the call to have the year out, and maybe he doesn't come back, and an easy option would have been to put the queue on the rack and see out the year in Melbourne, collect your $1 million, pull up sore in training, feign a bit of an injury, and we laugh, but
it happens.
You'd be silly if you didn't think some players in that position wouldn't do that, or just get themselves through the preseason, and then if you didn't want to play, just pull up stumps there and take the money and run. Yeah, like if you're a player,
well, think about it, he's on $1 million a year,
so you get November,
80
December,
grand a month.
Well, November he probably come back early December, Christmas break as well. A bit slow off the mark with feign a back injury. People like, no one's going to question that. You get five. He could have easily squeezed 4 or 5
some money out of them.
Pay. So respect for him for not doing that. But it's just, not many times in world sport have players that have been in demand walked away from the game without any clear reason. I remember, I think there was an NFL player that was just like, "Oh, the risk's not worth it, so I'm out." But there's not been any of that.
Well, Chanel Harris-Tavita did it. He had a gap year.
Yeah.
So he had a gap year.
Yeah.
The exact same thing. He wanted to go traveling.
You know,
Did
Will
it.
Hopawate with his mission work for 2
Yeah.
years. But I guess
It's a huge call. But you know what? He's
this is Ryan Papenhuyzen, who was, you know, close to winning the grand final for Melbourne. Like, he's at a club where you'd likely think they'll be, especially with him in it, be there or thereabouts again. Like, this is, you know, to be fair to Harris Tavita, he's there at the Warriors. Go, oh yeah, and he's not, respectfully speaking, the same category of player.
he wouldn't be on a
as
big
Ryan
salary. He'd be
Papenhuyzen.
on one of the
Yeah.
lower paid salaries at the time. He would have anyway. But there's more to life than footy. There's more to life. I kind of really respect it. If he's going to give up $1 million, he obviously is doing it because he genuinely wants a break from the game.
Yeah,
and he kind of shown that life's not all about money. Life's which it isn't.
And hats off to him, and I appreciate that. But there is the other side of the argument. You go like, there isn't a cent that I likely wouldn't give to get in that time machine,
Yeah.
because you know, well, and we don't know the full backstory, but you know, whatever he's doing, is it? And maybe Ryan's not wired up that way to have that adrenaline pumping through. Maybe he's different. I'd love to dive into the psyche around what exactly is going on, what precursors have happened, what's been the course of events, the domino effect, whatever you want to call it, to arrive at the decision to walk away from the game for a year, when not just there's money on the table, but you're at a club that can genuinely challenge for a premiership. Like, again, it's part respect, hats off, shake your hand, but there's so much mystery around it.
Yeah, I actually thought it was all nonsense when it was building up. Just thought he was going to R360, right? But then when I spoke to Harry Grant and Cameron Munster in England during the Ashes, like, you could hear the concern and sort of empathy in their voices about Papenhuyzen. And at that point, I thought, this is maybe there's more to this than we think. Like, maybe this isn't just an excuse to go and play R360 and make your money. And in the end, that's what it seems to be. So
Hopefully the podcast they do carries on next year. 167, great podcast.
Well,
Cam Munster,
maybe we'll get to find out.
Jerome Hughes, Ryan Papenhuyzen. Maybe it's still going. Who knows? He's going to probably. I think he's still based himself in Melbourne for now, Ryan.
I think so. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see him back in the NRL. Before we go, the Bulldogs, they've done it. Names are going to be on jerseys, officially for Las Vegas as well. I spoke to the Bulldogs this morning. It's been a huge success as well. I think they've already sold over 1,000 jerseys in this short space of time. So Dogs fans love it. I mean, if this isn't the most obvious thing ever, NRL just copy this model.
Yeah.
Fans clearly want it. It's so obvious.
And look, for their back of jersey sponsor, it actually brings them way more attention.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they're faced in, the amount of exposure that this has got them. Like
KFC, I think that is as well.
It is KFC. For the photographs, everything, like, this has brought them so much more exposure. So from a sponsorship point of view, you've reduced the size of your logo, but you're getting maximum exposure. Like, the biggest concern now for Dogs fans is what name and number to get. Like, what do you go with? Like, who is your favourite? It's going to test you.
Do you want to know who the most popular one is so far?
Let me
have a guess.
Crichton or Kiraz? Galvin.
Burton.
Stephen Crichton.
Yeah.
Most
I
popular
would've
so
thought
far.
that. Would've thought
Well,
that.
that's not.
Yeah, I thought you were going to give us some sort of weird answer.
the way you asked that question.
And the winner
implies-
is Connor Tracy.
Yeah.
So far, Crichton is the most sold. That could change, though. If you're a Burton man, get in there and get one. If you're a Galvin man, go in there and get one.
But you don't know what number you're going to get if you're going to get one now. Like, is Burton going to be playing 6? Galvin
Yeah.
gonna be playing 7?
Do you want Burton in
That's
3?
well, maybe Crichton
Yeah.
might be for centre. Who knows?
Yeah.
You strike me as a traditionalist. Would you take it one step further and like to see the introduction of players picking their own number? As in, that's their, like the NBA, or that's their number?
No, I reckon you've got to have a squad number, and it usually represents where you play. Okay. But you almost pick your best 17, and then.
No, I'm saying for future. Like, okay, Stephen Crichton, he likes 67 as his number, so he goes
MJ 23.
You want that?
I reckon the number 67 should be banned for obvious reasons.
Throwing out any numbers there.
No, I know why you went there, because it's deep in your psyche.
It is.
He's got 2 young kids about probably doing it all the time.
Correct. Still in my head in.
I reckon squad number for the year, and then all your training kit can be in your squad number. Be class.
I like picking your own jersey number.
Yeah, because then you can sell it like they
Yeah.
did. Remember when the Hayne jersey went off in the NFL, like the 38? It was the highest selling jersey on the NFL website at one point.
I used to track the NBA jersey sales and who was leading
Oh,
and
really?
stuff, and check where your player, like when Melo played for the Denver Nuggets, I was hoping that Melo would win the jersey sales, but he never quite got there.
What number would you get?
If I was getting, I'd probably get a 7 or a 14. Thierry Henry was my favorite soccer player growing up. He was wearing 14
You actually
for
spent
Arsenal.
your time tracking jersey sales.
Yeah, I was.
And
Yeah,
you didn't work in the industry.
no, I'd have been
That's
about
why he
14
helped
years
design
old.
that one you're wearing, mate. He just
Yeah.
wanted to track the numbers.
Wow.
Actually, I do have a question though. I did notice something. Well, I wasn't going to bring it up. You are wearing the Buy Round podcast. If you'd like to buy them, go and buy them.
They're all
I don't
sold
know if
out. They're all
sold
sold
out,
out.
mate. Okay,
Unless
sorry.
you're a double XL, we've got like 2 double XLs
Okay.
which we can sell.
Okay, no worries. Well, I noticed you're wearing number 56 of 150. Surely you get number 1 of 150 for the jerseys.
No, I think that was a small.
Oh, okay. It was a sizing issue.
Can
was it?
I'll tell you though, it did go up, but then I got them to give us a few that were like, so we had the ones we wanted were like 1, 2, and 3, but you couldn't take them out of the packaging without seeing the number. So I didn't know which ones were 1, 2, and 3. So I just had to sell them because I'm not going to open them all up and find them.
Yeah,
we
good
want to leave them
point.
in that nice little package that
point.
So
Classic
someone's got
Sportswear
mine
gave us.
number
Someone's
one.
got, well, I know who it is. They emailed us and said, I got number 1. They let us know.
Got
There you
it.
go. See?
Yeah, but
Numbers on
great show.
jerseys.
Yeah.
Chammy, it's an absolute pleasure. to
Pleasure,
spend
mate.
time
And
with you, mate.
the Tigers drama will continue, but it is a good move from the Bulldogs. I'm glad the NRL approved that. A lot of talk about people not liking the logo. Same with the Broncos. I mean, whatever.
People
Name
don't
on the
like
back-
change, Jimmy.
Yeah,
People
name,
don't
but
like
name on the
change.
back of the jersey. It's been way too long. I get plenty of grief from my mates in Liverpool. Like, they see stories like this and like, are you guys serious? Like, I can't think of a sport where we don't have surnames on the back of the jerseys in the week-to-week competition. It is bizarre. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will catch you very soon.